All right, so here we are again. We are reviewing Maleficent 2. I actually saw this movie a couple of days ago. This is my second time. I didn't like it as much the second time, but I still loved it. But we're going to start with Lamar, as usual.
I didn't like the conflict in this movie, but it allowed for the rest of the movie to happen. And as far as the storytelling for the rest of the movie, it was diminished because of the weak conflict that it gave it.
You mean the very, very beginning?
The conflict.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of
There
conflict.
was one
okay.
that started the movie.
Gotcha.
And it was terrible.
Okay.
I felt like the movie wanted to be about Maleficent, and it spent more time with her, describing who she was, what her kind is, and their whole backstory. But I think I wanted more than what they gave us.
So you wanted it to be more about Maleficent and less about Aurora and
right.
her husband?
Right.
Gotcha.
But again, the other part of the movie, the conflict, it just consumed more of the movie than I wanted it to, especially because I thought that it wasn't very good to begin with.
Gotcha. So did you just not like how the conflict kick-started, or you didn't like the entire...
I didn't like the conflict, period.
Gotcha, okay.
It just... And I said this in the movie, but it was too simple. Like, it just annoyed me that everyone fell for this trickery. And even Aurora gave... The movie wanted you to believe she gave no reservations to believing Maleficent did this terrible thing.
Well, I mean, but she also had precedent because Maleficent did it to her.
Yeah, but why is it that... Yes, even though she did do it to her, that had been resolved.
Yeah.
She had accepted her as her mother, loved her as her mother at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that she should have been 100% on board.
Yeah.
With believing this story.
Yeah, I feel you. But I mean, like, I guess it's one of those things where it's like her eyes played a trick on her. She saw something happen. She didn't see what Michelle Pfeiffer was doing. And so that was just the only way she could have explained it in her head at the time.
That's true.
And she didn't, like... I mean, Maleficent didn't really take the time to actually explain that she didn't do anything. She just denied it.
That's another thing that I had. That was another problem that I had. I mean, she... and there was ample time for her to say, I didn't do this.
Yeah, I know.
Before flying away. Like, they literally stood and looked at each other like, somebody has to explain this. No, you're just going to be mad and fly away? Cool.
And if, like, Maleficent had done anything except just leave, they could have found that thing in Michelle Pfeiffer's hand.
Right.
Like,
they could have found the wound.
Yeah.
I mean,
which, that was weird. I didn't understand why no one found that wound until it was pretty big.
Yeah.
But, so that was a little strange. But I guess even if they did find it, they could have thought, well, this is the same kind of wound that that Aurora has, so Maleficent did it. So even if they had found it,
even then, how would they have explained that she did it?
Yeah.
Or how she did
it? Because magic.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
They're all afraid of her anyways. So, but yeah. So what I was going to make this comparison because this is what I thought immediately, and I wanted to see what you thought about it. So, this movie was how I wanted Ready or Not to go. If you can see the parallel there. Like, she's invited to this place. It turns out to be a trap. But her and her husband stand true. And her husband comes around and is like, wow, my mom's super crazy. And it's just like, okay, I'm gonna do the right thing here and not be a part of this craziness. and that was how I wanted Ready or Not to end, and it didn't. Obviously, this is a Disney movie, but
That's
still.
not the same story either, because in Ready or Not, the whole family was nuts.
That's true.
In this, it's just one conniving person who, incidentally, has command over an army. It's not even the people, but the people are just.
Because it wasn't a bunch of crazy people; it was
Yeah.
people following the orders
Right.
of a crazy person.
Right.
I guess. Yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, I guess still, like, the movie, I watched the movie in a similar way, just with it there being this wedding, there being this, like, thing that was supposed to be this, like, light, fun thing that gets turned into this massacre. Also, how did you feel about the straight up massacre that happens in this movie? First of all, Disney lured a bunch of people into a chapel for a wedding to murder them all, murdered quite a few of them, and then also were like bombing these like fairies that were flying in and disintegrating them. I was just like, Disney literally sat down and they were like, how can we kill a bunch of people in a way that doesn't look quite like we're killing a bunch of
That's
people?
exactly what happened. They killed so many people.
When they first killed that little like dandelion thing, I was like, you were like, wow, this is dark. That's like a straight up murder.
Straight
I
up
was like,
murder.
oh, just you wait
Yeah.
until the end.
They straight up murdered on screen this innocent little fairy. I did want to ask, did she look familiar to you?
She did, but I didn't know what
She
was
looked
from.
like she was from another Disney animated film.
Yeah, no, she looked super familiar, and I could not place it. But
her
yeah,
hair was too red, and she just looked too much like a character straight out of How to Train Your Dragon. That might be what I'm thinking about.
oh, the mom. Did she kind of look like the mom in the second one?
Maybe. I don't know. But she looked very Disney cartoonish.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So aside from, what was Michelle Pfeiffer's name in this?
Ingrid.
Aside from her,
I know we were just gonna keep calling her Michelle Pfeiffer.
Right. And whatever she had going on, you mentioned as the movie was starting, the cinematography being excellent. It was. The CG in this movie was really good. And even though in some parts I could tell it was CG, but I also knew that it couldn't not look like CG.
Yeah.
Like, they were fairies and stuff.
Yeah,
running
yeah,
around.
yeah.
I accepted whatever as close to perfect as they could get to real life.
Like, for a movie that was like as fantastical as this, they made it as close to being realistic looking as they could. It looks kind of like Avatar in certain scenes.
A little bit. Yeah. I wanted more. I think I said this at the beginning, but I wanted to know more about the dark phase.
See, it's so interesting that you say that, because that was my least favorite part of it. I actually liked the conflict with the family drama and stuff.
It was so
like,
stupid.
Like, obviously it was like super blatant, but another thing I was gonna say in the theater is, like, I don't think the movie wanted you to believe Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't think we were supposed to not know.
Then why do
she
it?
whispers?
Don't waste my time.
She
then.
whispers into the king's ear, like, "Rest in peace forever."
And I think that was
like,
that was the movie saying, "Yeah, we get it. This is stupid. Just go along with it. We're just gonna tell you straight up. We know you don't believe any of this. We know. Now we're just gonna tell you, just get over it." But I won't. It was awful.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, there was this really big Romeo and Juliet vibe going on, and I was like, no, this is really stupid. I don't want it.
It was a little Romeo and Juliet-ish. Well, it was blatantly Romeo and Juliet, but I think the thing that made it different for me was it wasn't like okay, so what another thing I liked about the movie is in fairy tales, you most of the time you don't get the, like, when there's like a princess movie, you don't really hear that much about the male leads that often, or like their backstory or anything like that. It's usually he comes into her kingdom, saves her, or she saves herself nowadays, or whatever happens, and then that's it. But in this one, because in the first movie, he's in that movie too, but like he's not really much of a character. He wasn't that important to that movie. So it was interesting to see the plot line kind of revolving around him and his family, and to see him like having to like grow into a leader basically. And there are two points in time, I know, I saw your face, there are 2 points in time where you see him doing what I wanted Alex to do in Ready or Not. There's the first scene, or the first part where he does it, where he is talking to, oh no, he's talking to Aurora, and she says, you need to stay with your family, and he says, but you're my family. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then there's the second part where he's talking to the Dark Fae, that is about to kill the black dude, and what, and he's like, I'm not gonna let my mom's hatred ruin my kingdom. And he says my kingdom, not our kingdom, because he's like, and she even says like, I'm protecting your throne. So it's like, it's him coming into his own and being like, yeah, my mom's doing a bunch of crazy stuff right now. She needs to not be doing that stuff anymore, because I'm supposed to be ruling this stuff, and I'm supposed to be protecting these people, and I'm not doing my job right now by letting this happen. And so I just thought that it was really interesting to show that Disney was able to actually show a character have that progression, whereas Ready or Not did not want to do that. And I liked that.
I disagree. And that's all I'm gonna say. There was no.
What?
No. There was again, because I don't believe that the conflict was natural and deserved of the story. There's no character growth, because the movie shouldn't have happened.
So like, so you're basically saying it shouldn't have happened because no one should have believed Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Nothing else matters, because it was all nonsense from the beginning. No one grew. So they wrote all of that character development, air quotes, and then they put it, oh, we need for something to kickstart all of this. Oh, let's put 10 minutes of screen time where the queen stabs the king in the wrist with a spindle and trick everybody into believing it was Maleficent. Genius! Now, let's write an epic movie and put it at the end of that 10 minutes. And everybody's gonna love it, because it was 10 minutes and nobody's gonna remember. But we also have to make sure that everyone still understands she's crazy. Forget why she's crazy.
But at the end, and here we go, I don't know if she was crazy. I think that she just...
That's another problem that I have with the movie. You want to talk about the character growth of these people, and she completely reverts to some comical whatever. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, all of her actions, there's no comeuppance for her.
There wasn't a comeuppance. That was weird. I mean, she got turned into a goat, which is pretty bad. But, like, there was no... They didn't make a point of it, though. And also, like... One thing about it that was weird... And I think this was partially because the movie didn't know what it wanted it to be about, like you were saying, about how it was kind of trying to balance between being about Maleficent and her background and about being about Aurora and her wedding. Well, I think that, like, wait, what were we talking about?
There's no comeuppance for the
Oh,
queen.
yeah. So, like, I think it was just weird because the way that the son and the dad reacted really bothered me, because, like, they didn't really, like, even acknowledge it. They didn't even act like anything in their life had changed. And I was like, no, your mom and your wife literally just tried to, like, did murder a bunch of people, like, orchestrated a trick slaughtering in your kingdom.
And the people of the kingdom, the guards, the other Fae. Like, no one actually sat down and dealt with all of this death.
It was literally like 10 minutes later, after all these people on both sides were murdered brutally and disintegrated, and then they were like, well, the new king says they're having a wedding, so...
Like, I guess what they tried to show as far as how they rebuilt was they showed all the floral.
Yeah, like it was all a big phoenix thing.
No.
Oh.
They showed grass and roots and stuff growing all over the land, and I guess that was supposed to let us know that they cleaned up all that debris, all the castle, and all the dead bodies.
But like, seriously,
but
though? Like...
none of that happened.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And also, like, they showed a big aerial shot of that, like, beautiful maze garden or whatever, and, like, so much of the destruction was not there. And I was like, I don't know how she fixed... I mean, like, she's magic, so whatever. But, like, I was like, yeah, there are probably dead bodies present at this wedding right now.
Yeah, there has to be. There has to be.
So that was the only thing that was a little jarring for me, is how, like, super quickly everybody got over everything.
Yeah.
Like, there was no mourning period at all. Everybody in the kingdom, like, those were the most loyal subjects I have ever seen, because they literally those people woke up that morning expecting, like, this royal wedding, and then there's this full scale war basically that happens for like 20 minutes, and then there's a wedding after it, and it's like, oh, well, this was part of it though. Like, this was like what is it, like a reception? Is that before or after? Well, even the point is the war was part of the wedding,
right?
Is how they spun it.
And no, that's not how it goes.
So that was weird, I will say that. And I really do wish that, I mean, it showed, because it's not that like she got off, like the mom got off scot-free or anything, but like the movie had no interest in showing that anything that she did was wrong,
right?
Like, so that was a little bit strange. It like really just brushed everything she did under the rug really quick. And like, she gave this speech, and like, I didn't know, like, I kind of wish that they hadn't given her that backstory of being cast out of her kingdom and stuff, because it made her sound like she was bitter. And up until that point, she didn't really seem bitter. She seemed like she could have just been protecting her kingdom, like she said. But that story made it seem like it was about something else, and I didn't really like that. I feel like it diminished what she was doing.
It was also confusing because from that backstory, now that I think about it, you could glean several different motivations for whatever she was doing. So I think they wanted you to believe that it was revenge for her brother, but also it was her trying to show that the peace that her father wanted is a weakness because it got her brother killed.
Yeah. And she saw that weakness in her husband,
right,
in her son.
But you could also say that she's just a totalitarian who just wants all of the resources available to be
like
hers.
When it came down to it, it seemed like she just wanted all the things.
Yeah.
Is basically what her motivation was supposed to be.
And that motivation doesn't come from anywhere. Like, why does she need everything?
Right?
Like, they were not at any risk of violence.
So that's another point. And at the very end, when her son confronts her, and she's like, these fairies that I'm like genociding right now are the only thing standing in between us and the resources of the Moors or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like you just said, why does she need the resources of the Moors? Like, their kingdom looked like they were thriving, like, a lot. Like, they looked like they were doing really well. So I didn't really get why she needed to, like, own the world.
It actually goes back to her backstory. And it was when she was growing up, apparently their area, their land, was dying.
Yeah. No, I understand that. But she, like, projected all of this stuff.
And that was it.
Gotcha.
So she was crazy.
But, and then she also said that, like, so she said that because of the fact that her land and stuff was dying, her people, like, in her original kingdom, were fearful, and this frenzy started and all of this stuff, and that's what got her family overthrown and her cast out. But then she says, oh yeah, I use fear to control everybody, and like she makes a point about how that's how you have to rule. And I'm like, but all of the fear that you were afraid of was going to get you thrown out of power is what you're creating to maintain power. So I was a little confused by that and how she like rationalized
it was very odd.
But yeah, no, I just like, I think, first of all, I love Michelle Pfeiffer, so that's probably why a lot of what she was doing didn't bother me.
She was Hank Pym's wife.
Who's that?
Ant-Man.
I didn't really pay attention to Ant-Man.
In the second one.
Oh, I didn't see the second one. Gotcha.
Well, she was in the first one, but
gotcha.
Obviously not as much.
Gotcha. But anyways, I generally like mostly everything she does. But I also, in this movie, I just like, I found her character, and I think this is like the stark difference between us, but I found her character to be just so hilarious. Like, everything she was doing was so funny and like ridiculous for no reason. And I just loved it for some reason.
Was she allergic to flowers or fairies?
I think it was flowers that she said she was allergic to.
I know. But when she walked downstairs into that whatever, she sneezed.
Oh,
downstairs
gotcha.
where that fairy was and where he was keeping all of the other fairies, there were no flowers down there.
Well, there were flowers in there because he was using the flowers that come from the fairy death or whatever. So that might have been it, but I don't know. I didn't think about that. Oh, I thought that was a lie. I thought she made up the flower thing to be rude. Like, I literally thought that's what it was. I would have liked that better. Because when she says that, her son looks at her funny. And so I was like, oh, is she lying and he can tell?
Gotcha.
But I guess maybe I don't know why he looked at her like that then.
I guess because she was being rude.
Just the way she said it.
Yeah.
Like, regardless if it was true or not, I guess it was still rude. But, yeah, no, that was, I think, like, when it all comes down to it, like, I love just like, I mean, I don't like family drama, but I like awkward family situations. And so when they first bring Maleficent over, just like all of the weird, like, uncomfortableness that came with the mom being crazy was just really funny to me in this movie. And like the way that the son reacted to her, because the son kind of knew that she was a little bit nuts, I think he was just kind of ignoring it, whereas the dad had no idea for some reason. Like, somehow he literally thought that she was, like, just great. But, like, the son was clearly, like, because she was having issues with Aurora and stuff, I think he was already a little suspicious. But I don't know, I just liked that whole dynamic, because, like, everything she was doing didn't make any sense, and they were all just trying to deal with it, and it was hilarious.
That's why it wasn't hilarious, because it didn't make any sense. Like, come on, movie. I've got other things to do. Oh, also, I don't know if you noticed this, but this movie refused to end. It refused. It ended 4 times. Okay, in 3 minutes.
What were the endings?
So, I honestly would have been okay not seeing the wedding.
Okay.
So
what about their speech about the wedding? That when they announced that they were still going to have it, and that the Moors and that
could have been
all
it.
Said we're going.
So that was the first ending.
So leave that part there.
Yeah, that was the first ending.
Gotcha.
Then the wedding itself.
Okay.
After you may kiss the bride.
Yes.
Could have ended.
Mm-hmm.
Then when Maleficent says something, I'll see you at the christening, and then winks and flies away, could have ended right there. And then it finally ends after. No, wait, I lied. She's flying around with the kids. Yeah. Above the mountains and the rivers.
That was the end.
But that lasted 45 seconds. That could have been 15 seconds. This movie did not want to end. I don't know why. There was no more story told. Just kept rolling.
No, I didn't quite have that feeling about it, but I obviously liked the movie more than you did. But yeah, I do, now that you pointed out there were several endings. There were, so in Sleeping Beauty, the original Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent turns into a dragon. And in the first Maleficent movie, she turns her bird henchman into a dragon. And I guess for whatever reason in the first movie, they didn't want her to actually be a dragon. I don't know why. But so in this movie, they're like, remember when we were supposed to turn her into a dragon and we didn't? Let's turn her into a phoenix this time. Like, I don't know why they just decided to do that. Why couldn't she just be a dragon again?
It's funny because that's kind of the only reason I wanted to see this movie.
Because you knew she was going to be a phoenix?
I know, because I wanted to see the dragon.
Oh, gotcha.
And
yeah,
then,
you should have watched the first one.
Did she become a dragon in the first one?
No, she turned the bird into a dragon.
I wanted to see her as
Oh,
a dragon.
yeah, she didn't become a dragon.
I know.
Gotcha.
That's why I wanted to see this one.
Oh, because you thought she would be a dragon in this one?
Right.
Ah, I see. No. Phoenix.
But I'm okay with that.
Oh, the phoenix was
She
okay.
turned into a giant mythical creature.
Ah, fiery mythical creature, too.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So I accepted that.
Gotcha. I didn't. I needed her to just be a dragon. Be a dragon or be nothing.
There's so many dragons in the world.
No, that's true. But I mean, it's just that, like, I think if they hadn't turned that bird guy into a dragon in the other one, they probably would have turned her into a dragon in this one.
I also appreciate the story behind the phoenix and why she was a phoenix.
I guess, like, I didn't understand.
Oh yeah, you don't care about the dark face, is it?
Yeah, but I didn't understand, like, even because there was a bit of that was interesting, but like, I guess what I didn't understand about that is, like, where did they come up with that though? Like,
what do you mean?
With her being this phoenix resurrected thing, I was just like, oh, like, they just leveled her up like a lot, like, just out of nowhere.
They said she was the last descendant of that first face.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, when I watched the first Maleficent, I didn't get the impression that she was that special. I thought that all of her...
They told you in this movie.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, in this movie, they just, like, leveled her up a lot, which I just wasn't expecting. It wasn't a bad thing. I just wasn't expecting it. That's all.
I wasn't expecting Michelle Pfeiffer to be crazy. What was her name?
I feel like Ingrid. I feel like I was though.
I wasn't.
You don't watch trailers.
I wasn't expecting everyone to believe the crazy.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So wholeheartedly and immediately.
It was really well. I mean, I understand why her son did, but I don't know why Aurora did. So you're right about that. I mean, like, I also was expecting, like, a little bit more resistance, because you know how, like, when the son comes out and sees all the fairies and he thinks that Maleficent started a war. I was expecting a little bit more resistance to the realization that his mom was crazy.
Yeah.
But he was just like, oh yeah, that needle does kind of look like that same thing.
Well, no. After seeing the literal evidence, he's okay to have believed it. But before that, he should have been like, no, what he's talking about. He should not have just stood there silently while she finished her monologue and then said, hey, look at the scar.
Yeah.
Either she should have said, look at the scar, and that should have been it, or there should have been an argument there.
Yeah, there should have been an argument of, like, him defending her for a
right,
second.
Right.
Because, like, I mean, regardless of if you know your parent is crazy, when you find out, you have to, like, kind of not be about it.
Yeah, you don't want to really be on board with the fact that
you have to, like,
your mom
really quick
caused all of this and she has to go.
Right? You seriously, like, there has to be, like, a good 10 minutes of you being like, no.
Right.
This was not my family. We didn't do any of this.
Your mom is a literal demon.
Right?
Let's believe she did this.
She has horns, okay?
She could do magic. There was a cat floating in the air.
It's like, we are the victims. This is my kingdom that's on fire right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like there's a bunch of fairies flying around it. So...
I think we should cool down with the human did it, okay? Because we know what's really going on.
We know where your loyalties lie. You've been hanging out with a lot of fairies in the forest, okay? Yeah. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I guess, like, I just thought it was funny that he literally was just like, yeah, you're right. I've been expecting her to do something like this. Like,
he was totally okay with it. Just like the dad.
The dad wakes up And literally he's like, this is the proudest day of my life. And I'm just like, the proudest day of your life is the day that like your whole kingdom almost got burned by your wife. Like you're just pretending like that part
dreamt that day would come.
He could have at least been like, you know, I didn't think it would happen like this,
Right.
but no, he was like, yep, this is exactly what I thought your wedding was going to look like.
With all of these creatures around.
Right?
Oh
man, that is too funny. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I had a really good time. I thought it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't dislike the movie, but I could go on forever about the thing that I didn't like about it, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, especially because I knew that if I didn't say anything else, we would just keep talking about it. And once again, it's just like, it's just hilarious because this happens with every movie we watch. But I loved it and you hated it. I loved that thing and you hated that thing.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in every movie we watch. There's one thing that one of us likes and the other one doesn't.
Pretty much.
But and like, I fully agree with you on everything you're saying about it. It was all ridiculous, but I just thought it was funny. And I mean, did you ever see the trailer?
No.
Because I know you don't watch trailers, but I didn't know if you happened to see this one.
No, that's a lie. I did see the trailer. And what made me interested in the movie was the dark face stuff.
Oh, okay, gotcha. See, I was interested in it because of the drama. That's why I came, because I saw that in the trailer. But I saw very clearly that Michelle Pfeiffer's character was going to be just like that.
I had no idea.
Trailer. Oh, I see. That's super
I
interesting.
literally thought that we were going to get like maybe 75% of the movie of whatever was going on in that cave.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I did not come in expecting that at all. So that is probably why I felt differently about it. So that stuff was interesting. I loved the like tropical dark phase, those like Hawaiian looking or like those South American looking ones. I was like, why doesn't Maleficent look like that? Jeez.
I will say this. One thing that confused me a little bit about the dark phase. It seemed like either some of them or all of them, and if it's some of them, I'm more confused, but they could control nature. However, Maleficent is the only one who had magic. Now,
yeah,
I understand she was a descendant of that one special one.
Yeah.
But how are they not all descendants of that one?
I was wondering that too. I was wondering where the line was drawn about like her specialness and her power and stuff. Because I mean, obviously we saw her doing a lot more than the rest of them were. But once they were like attacking that wall and he starts doing the branch thing, I was just like, oh wait, how many of them can do this?
Exactly.
And I was really confused about that too.
And really, we only see him do it and Chiwetel Ejiofor's character do it.
I don't know how you know how to say his name.
Because I'm a person.
I literally every time I see it, I'm just like, I don't know how to say this.
It's a cool name, so I was like, I gotta know how to pronounce this.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it is cool. But yeah, I don't know. I've been wondering that too, because if more of them, if like a large percentage of them can do that kind of thing, they should have done more of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like was tripping. Oh, okay. So when I saw the trailer and I saw those pink blasts of things, I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. It must be like some diversion or something. I mean, like in the trailer you can't tell because it doesn't explain what it was. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, they're just straight up disintegrating.
Little did you
people.
know. They
like...
were instruments of murder, massacre, and genocide.
Because literally when I watched the trailer, it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Looks like cotton candy. And then you get to the theater.
It was literally the opposite of cotton candy. Like
what's the opposite of cotton candy?
Something that kills your soul instead of brings joy to it. That's what cotton candy does. And this stuff just straight up murders you. On impact, like cotton candy.
Right? Like
cotton candy that disintegrates immediately. This stuff disintegrates you immediately.
That's where they got it from.
It's literally the opposite of cotton candy.
I want to go up to someone and be like, you are like the opposite of cotton candy right now. Like, I can't.
Yes. They won't know what you're talking about. They'll have to Google it and still not know what you're talking about.
Then they'll figure it out, put it on Google, and then other people will know when they look it up. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the straight up murdering massacre-ness of this movie was just, I mean, the movie, I think what the movie tried to do, the movie tried to make it okay by having the son say this is a massacre. And then they were like, yeah, it's a massacre. That's what's happening. So you good now? Like, I think that's what the movie was saying. But that didn't make it okay.
It was too far into it, though. So many lives were lost. And
like, even in each time a fairy died, the other fairies would like scream in agony and stuff. I was like, holy crap.
I also found it very inefficient the way they tried to kill everybody in that chapel.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Like,
they could have.
Why not put it in the sprinkler system or something?
Like, let's put it in the organ.
And then shoot fireworks out of it.
One by one.
One by one in a stream where all the dust followed the head of it and then falls onto the floor. And then some of the tail flickers down.
Yeah, I love how the very first shot didn't kill anybody.
Didn't do anything. I was so mad. It's like, I'm ready for murder now.
You're fully committed to the murder.
I'm fully committed to this murder.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. And it was another thing that was funny. Did you catch the hint when they weren't letting the humans in that it was a trap? Okay, because I didn't catch that the first time. But to be fair, I didn't hear them saying it either. But yeah, I because when I first watched it, I saw them all filing in, and I saw that there was only half of the room was full. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something happening here. This is weird. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I knew that Michelle Pfeiffer was doing something, but I didn't know she was straight up about to kill every person that was from the Moors. Like, crazy. I didn't know that was the plan. So I was just like, oh, okay. And like, whenever I watch movies like this with plot lines that are similar to this, I always like try to imagine what it's like to be like, what if you're like Hitler's kid or something, and like what it's like to just be the son or daughter of this person who's just genociding people, and like what do you do? Like, I just
do you know any different though?
Yeah, I know. I guess that's the thing. Like, do you see it and you're like, oh yeah, it's a normal Saturday afternoon, or is it just like what happened in this movie where you like try to stand up and say something? It's always weird whenever I see that happening. I think I was really into this movie because this movie was like 90% Game of Thrones. Like, Game of Thrones was like all this type of conniving, random murder and random like massacres and stuff.
You know what that means though, right?
What?
I'm never watching that show. You've cemented it. Now that I understand what Game of Thrones is about, I'm literally never watching that show.
It's so good though.
No, apparently it's not.
It's done way better than that. No, the point of it is like there's just a bunch of this like there are tons of scenes in Game of Thrones where like one character who isn't bad, it like either is in love with or related to some evil character and has to sit there while they do something terrible. That's really all I'm saying, and it's just really funny. But I don't know, I just think I love stuff like that. It's so good.
I'm not doing it.
I'll get you to watch it one day.
Nope.
We'll get you.
Nope.
Oh man, Game of Thrones is like, when people, you know how people call things like cult classic and stuff like that, and they use that word and it's kind of creepy? Well, like, Game of Thrones was the first time I ever felt like I was in some kind of creepy cult when I was watching a show.
Here's the thing. Game of Thrones is not a cult classic. Game of Thrones was very popular from the beginning and everybody loves it. A cult classic is something that at first no one liked.
Oh, really?
And then it gained its following, not in the mainstream, but behind the scenes.
Oh, is that what a cult?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I thought it has a cult following.
Gotcha.
Just not.
I only got that part of it. Gotcha. Okay, I did not know that at all. But anyway, still, like, I have never, like, the zeitgeist. that was the main thing that like got me into the zeitgeist, because before I kind of just casually watched things, but Game of Thrones like literally like drew me completely into all of it, and like until the show ended I felt like my whole life was just like being controlled by Game of Thrones.
I know.
It was
and I feel sorry.
No, it's over now. I'm a man of winter now.
Ratings.
All right, so I was thinking about my number the whole time, and I'm gonna go ahead and just give it an 8. I think it might have been higher before the second time I watched it, which might not be fair, but I think the first time I watched it I had like a little bit of rose-colored glasses on. I wasn't really like, I was just kind of like, it was just spectacle to me. This time I actually like sat there and analyzed a little bit more of it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8. I liked the story. I really liked the romance, and I like the relationships in movies. So I liked all of the relationship drama, the complications. It was all really fun. I also really liked like the visual aspect of the dark phase. Like I wasn't as interested in the story, mostly because they didn't give us that much of the story to be interested in, but I liked visually their cave was really cool. The fact that like their cave was segmented into like different types of dark phase, which was really cool, and they kind of showed how the kids were growing up in exile and stuff like that. So like that whole thing was like really visually spectacular. But like Maleficent's like relationship with the black guy like wasn't that interesting, just because it didn't really result in anything. And then her relationship with the long-haired dude, also nothing really came of that. He was just like kind of trying to like stir up conflict. Well, not really, he was trying to resolve conflict in a violent way. But so yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with that I thought was really interesting, and like visually that was all really cool. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with an 8.
Sorry.
You're good.
Again, I didn't dislike the movie. And I don't know if it's even possible, but and I don't mind what the movie was about and what Michelle Pfeiffer was doing.
Yeah.
That whole story, that all of it was fine. Everything about the movie was fine, except for how the conflict started. Okay. If they could have done something different with there, then
made it somewhat more viable.
Right.
Like, okay.
It just seemed like we've seen that all over and over again.
Yeah. Like, oh, hey, look over there while I shoot this person. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So that's, for some reason, it's just too glaring.
Yeah.
And I've been teetering between a 7 and an 8. And the pros and cons are similar to what you listed. The story had a lot of threads going on. There were these two people who were trying to bring together two kingdoms and trying to prosper.
Mm-hmm.
There was still Maleficent and Aurora building their relationship and figuring out that there's going to be a lot that really is going to pull them apart. The prince, however, doesn't get that. He actually lost a relationship, and he didn't really seem affected by it, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Wait, what do you mean he didn't get what?
So he didn't get a realization or a deeper emotional attachment to someone.
Oh, gotcha. Well, Aurora. Or does that not?
That doesn't count because she also got that.
Gotcha. So anyone aside from her.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know if he needed it because he already had his dad. And Aurora didn't really like her.
But the relationship between Aurora and Maleficent wasn't the same as the prince and her dad.
It got, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
In any way. because
But
that
also,
relationship was
like,
different and special.
and also, like, Aurora's relationship with Maleficent was greatly deepened in this movie
Right.
because of the events.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, and his dad was just asleep the whole time.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't want to be nice. I kind of just want to be nice and just give it the 8, but I feel like I'm just doing it just because.
I was thinking you wanted to do 7. That was
yeah.
what I was expecting.
So yeah, 7 is gonna be the number. It wasn't a bad movie, and again, it's only because of that Michelle Pfeiffer nonsense. I don't think that any other part of it I really disliked, and that's unfortunate. But
no, I mean, I can see how that could be like, because that was, I won't say the crux of the movie, but like you said, it started the whole thing.
Yeah.
So if it starts on a not so great note, then you're not gonna.
And then at the end, as we talked before, she didn't have a comeuppance.
That was I think, if anything bothered me about what happened with her, it was that. It was that, like, nothing she did seemed to matter at the end at all.
Right.
Like, and also, like, the movie ends with the Moors and Alced being united, which is what they were talking about at the beginning, after a bunch of stuff that didn't need to happen.
Right.
Like, literally, that wedding could have happened, like, the day after he proposed if his mom wasn't crazy. And literally all the exact same stuff could have happened. Right. So I see what you're saying. Yeah. The movie was based on a conflict that, like, wasn't really believable and wasn't necessary in any way, shape, or form. But I was able to get past that more quickly than you were. Also, just like I said, I like watching Michelle Pfeiffer be evil. She's good at being evil. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess that makes our number an 8 or a 7. We round up or down. Because I said 8, you said 7.
So 7.5.
I didn't know if we were doing halves.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes our number a 7.5. Means we both liked it pretty well. Like I said, I liked it more the first time because I was just kind of like going with the flow the first time. But yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in once again. Next week, we're going to be watching The Current War. So we'll see you then.